Hello, everyone. I'm Maya May with Lincoln Square Media, and I am sitting today with Alexis Hill, who is running for Nevada governor. So, Alexis, you are, first of all, let's talk about Nevada.
Yes.
You are born and raised in Sparks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's Northern Nevada.
Okay.
And I love that you understand Nevada and have lived here and come back here a lot. So you're very familiar with how much we've changed as a state. But yes, I love this place. I grew up here and I've been working in local government my whole career. I'm now a county commissioner and the chair of my board, and just wanting to see better for my community. I want change in Nevada, and we need it so badly.
Well, and I think we need change across the board.
Yes.
And many people would agree with that. What is a misconception that people have about life in Nevada?
Well, I think that they think that we're cowboys, although there are cowboys here, certainly, or they think it's just all gaming, which we do have that here, but we obviously have so much more. And I think that people don't realize that Nevada is this incredible geographic beauty, and wonder. We have Lake Tahoe, we have Mount Charleston, we have Red Rock Canyon, we have incredible mountain scapes, and I feel like it used to be 15 minutes to anywhere. Now it's like 30 minutes to anywhere, and an hour to nowhere. And you can just escape into the beautiful, desert or mountains and really experience a special place by yourself. And I don't think people know that you can have a lot of quiet moments in Nevada.
And quiet moments in Nevada are some of my favorite. It's an incredibly diverse state as far as geography. And you're a city planner. That is your, you studied it. How does that city planning approach affect what you would like to accomplish for Nevada?
Well, it made me a very strong environmentalist because in Nevada, we have been developing with sprawl and not necessarily doing everything we can to ensure that we keep our portions of our state as wild as we can. And so as a city planner, I was outspoken against drive-throughs or outspoken against, new development that potentially was going to be on a mountain and cut into a mountain. So we looked at hillside ordinances to make it so you couldn't do that and ruin the landscape. And also, I am a huge proponent on pedestrian and cycling safety. And really what got me into planning was walking to school without a proper sidewalk and realizing, that's the local government's job to actually make sure that kids can get to school in a safe way. And I went and advocated for a sidewalk with my city council. They didn't end up doing anything. They were really nice. Oh, little girl. But it did inspire me to think, okay, I want to work in local government and actually help make a change. And so as a planner, I was able to ensure that sidewalk actually was finished, and did some other work like that right before the Great Recession. And I know you lived here during that time. And so then changed my career, but came back to government in 2012 when we were just climbing out of the Great Recession as a state.
So you have been solutions focused. And a lot of people are very cynical about government right now because they don't see their elected officials actually following through on any of their promises. So when you're in this process of campaigning, what are some of the things that you see right now that you would like to change to make a difference for everyday Nevadans?
Well, and I love that you bring up the cynicism of the voters, but I think it also, when you look at policymakers, they can be quite cynical as well. And they, in my state in particular, it feels like every time we hit an economic downturn, we just want to do major giveaways to billionaires and corporations to say, please, please, please come to the state of Nevada. We did that with Tesla, brought in Elon Musk to Nevada, and he's still actually here doing all sorts of environmental and safety environmental unsafe projects in Las Vegas as well. So it's very frustrating.
I want to talk to you about that because there's this idea that there's these great businessmen out here and they care about Nevada and they want to help Nevada. And as you just mentioned, Elon Musk came in and I believe building tunnels, running robo-taxis and that sort of thing. How does that help everyday Nevadans? And what would you like to see instead from businesses that are coming to invest here?
I think that businesses who come to invest here actually need to invest. And what we've seen is that we give them giant tax breaks and people suffer because of it. So it started in Northern Nevada with the Tesla Gigafactory. We begged Elon Musk to come here, gave him over $1 billion of tax incentives, transferable tax credits that then were sold to the casinos so they could offset their tax burdens. So we saw that, yes, we were able to economically diversify and that was a positive for Northern Nevada. However, the people who work at the Gigafactory are stuck in hours and hours of traffic because we don't have proper roads, because we don't have the money to fix them or add roadways. They don't have childcare. Tesla workers are some of the highest Medicaid recipients in our state. So these jobs are not paying enough for people to even have proper insurance. And then, yes, now he is going down to Las Vegas and boring holes underneath our economic, our world economy, the Strip, and running Teslas under there, and then dumping toxic chemicals into the sewers illegally in Las Vegas, as well as creating huge safety issues for firefighters who are need to make sure that their employees are safe. And they've been burned. Actually, they've had chemical burns from the boring project. So it's unreal what is happening in our state. And we really need someone who wants to fight and speak up about these things. And very, very few people in power are.
So that sounds like a nightmare, what he is doing. As a mom, I know you have a young child. As a mom, how does it make you feel that there are outside interests coming into the state and making life potentially worse for families here?
I'm honestly fed up and sick of it. And that is why I'm running. I feel like I can't wait anymore for another politician to come in and do nothing in my state or, actually acquiesce to these powers. And I feel like no one is bringing up the everyday person, the everyday Nevadan, and how to make their lives better. And I think people are scared to push back against these special interests. And people in power have sadly continue to want to do these giveaways instead of actually saying, okay, these corporations need to pay their fair share to come into our state. And the state of Nevada is an amazing place. We don't need to be giving everything away in order to diversify our economy. It seems very cynical, honestly, instead of investing in everyday Nevadans.
Well, and so because there's the film industry, I know there's data centers that are looking at coming in here. And so do you think people in general understand what happens when a corporation gets a tax break like they've been getting? Because Nevada should be flush with cash.
Right. And we actually have been spending less per capita with like triple the growth in our state since 1990. We are not even keeping up. Government revenues haven't even been keeping up with inflation since the 90s as well. And it's because when we give these tax breaks away, we don't have a way to make sure we can invest in our schools, or we can invest in our roadways, or we can invest in working people and making their lives easier. And so I don't think people understand the long-term consequences. I certainly want a film industry in Nevada, no question. I think that there's a way that we can do it in a sustainable way that actually protects Nevadans and brings in economic prosperity. But the way that the legislature was considering, and our governor was considering bringing in the film industry, was over $1 billion of transferable tax credits that they could sell, and more than likely will sell, to the casinos so that they can offset their tax burden. So it was predicted that we will, if we were going to move forward with this deal, we would be in a deficit in 2030, conveniently when the governor would be done with his second term. And that's where it really feels so frustrating. And why people are giving up on their government is because it's like our job is to make things better than how we found them. And it seems like everyone is making decisions on what the next election cycle will bring. And that is wrong.
I agree with you 100%. And it seems Democrats have a hard time sometimes putting on the vision board, if you will, a better life, a better future. It feels like we're often on defense. What do you see? Dreaming big, but also doable. Right. What do you see as possible for Nevada?
I think that we can be the most livable state in the country. But the only way we can do that is if we properly fund basic services. I'm not asking for gold-plated streets here. I'm actually asking for safety. I'm actually asking for things that community members need. I don't want people to be stuck in traffic. I want adequate public transportation instead of deals with Elon Musk and Tesla. I want us to make sure that we're investing in our schools. We are 48th in per pupil spending in the United States, and our results show that. We need to make sure that we're paying teachers adequately and that they have enough teacher aides in their classroom to support them. Right now, I spoke to a teacher recently. She has a class of kindergartners, 40 children in that kindergarten class, no teacher aide and no prep period. I asked her, I said, how do you do this? How are you doing it? And she said, I pray. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you pray, but Nevada needs to do better for her and for everyone else in this state to make sure that people can be successful. And I feel like it really does start with education. And that is how you lure companies to come here or build companies is by educating your people, by investing in your people. And we have not seen someone who wants to come in and support the everyday Nevadan. And that is what I'm fighting for.
Well, it seems in many ways that you yourself are the everyday Nevadan, so you have a better understanding of what everyday Nevadans need. Can you talk about what it means to have come up here through local politics and why it makes you better positioned to govern?
Absolutely. I think that seeing things on the ground as a local elected has been, it's shaped me, certainly in my policies and living in my community and seeing the changes that have happened in my community that I can't necessarily change myself because I don't have the power on the state level to make policy changes or to increase revenues to support our most vulnerable community members and our working families. And working in local government is really great because as a county commissioner, for example, we meet every week. We, interact with constituents who are happy with decisions that we're making or have input for decisions, and they let us know how they're doing. I'm so lucky that I get to connect with so many people and hear their stories. And this is not the Nevada that we used to have. We used to have a Nevada for the working person. Nevada was a working person state. And you could work, you could have a 2-income house working in the casinos and buy a single family home. You cannot do that anymore in Nevada. It is unattainable. And right now, especially with corporate ownership of homes, it's been a real struggle for people to buy a house and live that Nevada dream. And so I think we need an elected official who wants to push back against these special interests, who isn't bought and paid for by them, and wants to support the everyday Nevadan.
When you're having conversations with people in the community, is it housing that people are talking about the most? Because it seems like I used to live here. It was affordable. I came here because it was affordable and fun and had access to so much culture, easy flights anywhere. And this time around, I walked into the grocery store. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm looking at housing costs. And I'm like, who can afford to live here now? So when you're having these conversations with people, are they frustrated? Are they, have they given up? What's the vibe on the ground?
A lot of people are leaving, and that is a concern for me. You know, people who have built businesses, who are contributing to this community, you know, they just don't see a future for their kids. They don't necessarily see a future for themselves. So I am really worried about losing great people who we want to live here and we want to contribute to our communities. And so it is a housing crisis. Also, healthcare is it's a very difficult landscape in Nevada to find a specialist. It's very difficult to, we know nationally, to just have affordable insurance, and that's a major issue. But in Nevada in particular, we have very low Medicaid reimbursement, so it's hard to get doctors to come here and nurses to come here. We need a state and a governor who is really focused on how can we make sure that we're supporting folks on the ground and getting them the health care that they need and making sure that they're housed as well. And yes, housing and healthcare. Those are the biggest things that I hear from people on the ground.
Well, and not having affordable housing can affect one's stress levels, which then can affect one's health. And so it becomes this sort of vicious cycle.
It does.
Now, this kind of affordability that we need should be bipartisan. In many ways, we're seeing that it's not. How do you expect to be able to work with your Republican colleagues, the federal government right now that doesn't seem to be have an ear open for the needs of states that are Democratic led? So how would you view that process of delivering for Nevadans when the climate is a little iffy?
Yes, I agree. But I will say the most hopeful thing that I saw come out of the special session, which just wrapped up. The Nevada legislature meets every 2 years for 120 days. And as you can imagine, they can't always get the work done in that amount of time. And so they will occasionally have special sessions. The governor called a special session, and the Democrats and Republicans came together to try to get a cap on corporately owned homes in Nevada. And I was really heartened to see that, because Republicans also have constituents who are like, I'm being priced out of my own hometown. What's going on here? So seeing them come together on that issue was really exciting. I think that it's making sure that we discuss what's actually happening on the ground. And so as a local official, I am able to work across the aisle because we have to. We have to. There's no Republican sewer. There's no Democrat, childcare. These are essential services that we all need. And I think getting down to basics again, there's a real opportunity to find solutions that everyone can agree on. And that's the great thing about governing. And what I feel like I've done for my community is really bringing together diverse people to get things done. On the federal level, though, it's scary. Nevada, a third of our budget comes from the federal government. We are going to be and are continuing to be in trouble because the federal government is pulling back grants, pulling back investments in Nevada, and we need a state, a governor who wants to invest in Nevadans and see how we can fill those gaps that we're seeing on the federal level.
So, and I want to talk about the federal level. I want to talk about tourism in general, because a lot of the revenue here is tourism related. And right now what we're seeing is that there's fewer people traveling to Nevada. I know the numbers show Las Vegas, but I'm sure also Reno is seeing a hit. What would you say to the workers here who are screaming, we're not earning enough because no one's coming here?
Right.
How do we approach that?
Oh, it's a horrible situation because international travel is down, and in Las Vegas, we rely on Canadian travelers and travelers from Mexico, and they are not interested in coming to America right now. And then folks who had discretionary income, they are not traveling as much because of uncertainty and just not having the money that they used to have. It's just becoming tighter and tighter throughout the United States for people to just make it. And so in Las Vegas, you're feeling that on the ground. And I mean, to the workers, I think what we need to be saying is it's time to invest in you. It's time to make your lives a little easier. And the government needs to be brave enough to say, okay, we know that this is a struggle. We need to look at capping rents until we can figure out how to revitalize this economy and keep people housed. And so I think that having an elected official who's actually has policies and plans that can make people's lives better today is very important. And that's what this campaign is all about. I want to invest in Nevadans. They don't want a handout. They want opportunity. Additionally, I'd like to see that we grow people's incomes and increase the minimum wage for folks who are struggling in working for these major corporations that we've given tax write-offs to. Why are we allowing for those folks to have some of the highest Medicaid recipients? We need to make sure that if companies are coming here, that they are actually supporting people with a livable wage and that they're not, continuing to have to take government handouts. It's unacceptable. It's corporate welfare.
Do you think people are concerned? And what would you say that, if we tax the companies, they'll go elsewhere. That was a lot of the argument. If Mamdani wins mayor of New York City, everybody that's rich is going to flee. The companies are going to flee. What would you say to the people who are afraid that investors will scatter?
Well, we know that people are already leaving Nevada because it's very difficult to live here. We need to make sure that we are making it a great place to live. Companies will not want to come here unless they know that their kids are going to be in a great school system and educated, and also that their kids are going to be safe when they're on the roadways. So I think that it's all about quality of life and making sure that we invest in quality of life. These companies, because of the location of Nevada, they want to be here. And Nevada, and as far as my proposals are concerned, Nevada will still be the lowest tax state in the country. We just need to make sure that we're closing these loopholes that we've allowed for corporations to take advantage of and really benefit off the backs of working Nevadans. And that's what I'm proposing.
I love that. I know you have a youth organizer who works with youth. And so to make Nevada more affordable to young families, what's your pitch to young people to move to Nevada?
Well, it's a beautiful place. And that's what my campaign video talks about is look at how beautiful this place is. We need leadership to make sure that we can keep our quality of life. And so for families right now, I want to say I'm working very hard to make sure that they can afford childcare and that we invest more in our schools. I want to make sure that they have access to outdoor spaces, that no matter what zip code that they live in, that they can call the police if there's a burglary, and they will come. Right now, we have so few services that Even public safety is we don't have enough public safety officers. We don't have enough firefighters, especially in a place where we know we have fires. So I think we want to make sure that we have a governor who will invest in these essential services. And to our families, we want to make it easier for them to get by. We want to make sure that the government is there for the services that we're best at, which is those essential services, so that they can live an amazing life.
We were talking about this earlier. Have they forgotten what government does for them?
I hear what you're saying. I think they've forgotten about that common good. I think we continue to think a rich person's going to move to town and make all of our problems go away. And that actually is not what is happening in America or Nevada, certainly. When we give these tax benefits to these wealthy business people and corporations, they're not putting that money back into the state. And the common good are things like roads. Okay, like you said, point to that. That's democracy, right? Yeah. Like point to a school, that's democracy. A childcare center, that's democracy at work. You're right. Like we need to get back to showing people what government does for them and why it's so important that your government functions well and is funded appropriately.
Perfect. I think we have plenty of substantive stuff.
All right.
I want to do lightning round.
Yay.
We covered so much. This is really good. Is there anything that we didn't hit substance-wise that you want to?
I think we're great.
Okay, and let's do some fun lightning round stuff. First thing I want to ask about is you mentioned Canada.
Yeah.
Earlier, the tourism from Canada is down. A lot of that is because of what our current administration has said about Canadians. Do you think we need a sort of campaign to Canada? Do we need to apologize to Canada? What's the best way to get Canadians to come back to Nevada?
That is a great question. The LVCBA actually is running a new campaign talking about, why everyday people should come to Las Vegas and why it's affordable and why it's accessible. And so I think we have to continue to, do that pitch and show that people, no matter what your income level, that's what's so great about Las Vegas. No matter what your income level, you can find something to do here and have a ton of fun. And so, yes, we need to do that. But also, yes, maybe a formal apology from the states. I can't believe we're like having to go out on our own. But that's really what a lack of leadership on the federal government looks like.
It sure does. There's so many sports teams here. Are there any sports that you like to see? Do we need more sports in Vegas? It feels like there's at least 6 or 7 pro teams here.
Right. We're about to get a baseball team as well, and I've heard talk about a basketball team. A men's basketball team. So we'll see. But the Aces are incredible and obviously just won the championship. And we're also proud that they're part of our state and that we have these incredible women who are representing Nevada so well.
I was going to say, as far as championship teams are, I think it's only the women's team.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so the pitch for Nevada for women. How can we make Nevada amazing for women?
I will tell you, Nevadans love women. Nevadans love electing women. We were the first majority female legislature. In most of the local governments, you see women in charge. We have a ton of female mayors as well. And so I think it shows that Nevadans are true feminists. And we were one of those states that came in and gave women the right to vote very early as well. And so I think it shows that in Nevada, as a woman, like you're going to have equal opportunity. And I've seen that through my whole career.
I absolutely love that. Recreation we talked about earlier. What's your favorite recreational activity
Oh, I love skiing. And so that's a lot of that happens in northern Nevada, and Mount Rose is my favorite ski hill. I also love floating the Truckee River and Lake Tahoe, going to the lake, and then obviously hiking all around Nevada is incredible.
So skiing, I love skiing too. I tried snowboarding once. My fear with any of those sports is hurting myself.
Yes.
Healthcare. We talked about that briefly. What's the best trick to stay safe on the trails?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't go when it's a holiday.
Okay.
I'm not going to go when it's someone's first time out on the ski hill. I like to go midweek or, even midday for a few runs on a lunch break. And that's typically when it's calmer and there's fewer people out there. So I typically try to go during the shoulder season, if you will.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes. Never go to the Strip on New Year's Eve.
There you go.
Always my thing.
Yes.
Does Nevada have a state food? What's the food? I feel like what food is Nevada known for?
I mean, we love our 24-hour diners.
Okay, yes.
And that's a classic Nevada staple. But honestly, we have the best food in the country. I mean, literally anything you want. And Chinatown in Las Vegas is chef's kiss, incredible. Any place that you go into, you're going to find an incredible wonder. And people who have come here, immigrated to Las Vegas to work hard and support their families and feed our communities. And so I think that is also so inspiring. We have a huge immigrant population in Nevada that I'm really proud of, that people come here to create opportunity for their families.
Do you feel like the immigrant community isn't feeling as appreciated right now because of everything that's going on?
Yeah. Speaking to small businesses, they're all struggling because, people they're scared to go out to restaurants. They're scared of, even if they are here legally, they're scared of just being pulled over because of the color of their skin for legitimate reasons. And so I think that people are worried about that, because it's not only our economy is not only being hit by the lack of tourism, it's also being hit because our immigrant families are worried to do business right now and are really trying to stay inside. And it's a concern. And there's members of my team with mixed status families who are trying to help their families survive during this time when they can't pick up extra work. It's a terrible situation.
It must be incredibly frustrating as a lifelong Nevadan, knowing how important small business is to the fabric of all of the communities, to see them being threatened right now, because in many ways, Nevada is a state of small businesses, of immigrants.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that with, because we have our short term and our long term, how are you speaking to these mixed status families? And it doesn't get brought up very much that and it shouldn't matter, right? But if you're taking a mom who is undocumented away from her family, that may be affecting her U.S. citizen children.
Absolutely.
Right? It shouldn't matter.
Absolutely.
Our community is our community, but what kind of conversations are you having with people right now to reassure them that if you become governor, that you are going to do more than what we're seeing right now to protect families, to protect communities?
Well, in Nevada, we used to have an office in the state for the governor's office of New Americans, where they would support folks on the ground who are coming here and finding opportunity in Nevada. Mm-hmm. Our governor was fearful about being called a sanctuary state, so that went away. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for the state to support these families. I hear terrible stories of people even being taken advantage of because they have they are not here legally, and their employer knows that, and they're making them work longer. So also making sure that we hold employers accountable who are taking advantage of our immigrant families, and people are really struggling. And even what's heartbreaking is, kids who have graduated with honors from high school and they want to go to college, and they're worried about whether they can do that because of their status, and they want to contribute to this country, and they don't really have a lifeline or anyone on the state level who can help them. And now more than ever, states have to be the leader because the federal government is absent. And so we need the states to step up and support these folks on the ground. And that's what I plan to do as a governor.
I think that's amazing. There's been a lot of conversation around whether diversity is our strength or whether diversity is a weakness. Can you talk about how diversity strengthens Nevada?
Oh my gosh, diversity is the key to why Nevada is a world economy and why people come here. I mean, both people coming here to build businesses and people coming here to experience Las Vegas or Reno or any other of our incredible communities around the state. And I don't know why people would ever say that diversity is a weakness when I think that we are made better because of it. And as we've grown as a state, I think it's only become a more desirable place to be because of the diversity and because of people's new perspectives. It's the reason that I came back. I left for college. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if this Nevada is really the place for me. And in that time, we grew significantly. It was right before the Great Recession. And it was my hometown was transformed because new people came here, diverse people came here and really made this community better. And I think that that's what we need to really be pushing, is that diversity is what actually makes your community stronger and makes your decision makers make better decisions because you're bringing new thoughts and new ideas and coming from different perspectives. That's pretty magical, actually.
So it sounds like this is actually, we talked about the recession, and we talked previously, you mentioned about how now is similar. It seems like there might be actual opportunity in this recession to bring in more diverse perspectives. Can you talk about what you're seeing now and the parallels?
Absolutely. In Nevada, we had the worst unemployment in the country during the Great Recession. And a lot of that is because we just don't invest in people in Nevada. You're kind of on your own. And I think that what we saw from COVID, when the federal government infused counties and cities with COVID relief dollars, is that we benefited greatly and our economy was buoyed. Yes, we had inflation. I don't disagree with that. But we were able to get public works programs on the ground. And President Biden, he came from a county seat. He was a county official, and he understood that the counties are really where the work gets done. And that's why they funneled so much money directly to the counties. And that's what I want to do for Nevada is how do we create a new deal, essentially, a form of a new deal of investing in capital projects, investing in trail systems, investing in our roadways and schools and homes. You actually, when you do that, you have great jobs. And these are typically union jobs that these folks are getting great benefits. And so that's the kind of jobs that I want to get in Nevada and really take advantage of this time to say, let's invest in our people.
Absolutely. I'm voting for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you get an absentee ballot?
I will actually. Okay. So I just moved back. I guess because I'm dual now. I'm in both places. So, but I am registered to vote here.
That's so great. Yeah. Thank you. That means the world to me.
Well, and the reason why is because you focus on solutions. And throughout this conversation, I've noticed how you've stayed very grounded in what people actually need and being very present. And I think what we're missing from a lot of our elected officials right now is that they're not connected to communities.
Yeah.
They're not having a deep understanding of like the day-to-day of what it is to be a parent in this economy, of what it is to be a business owner in this economy. And it sounds like you're deeply invested in having those conversations with people. And so as we wrap up, I just have one last question for you, which is, what does community mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it means love to me. And I get really emotional. It's like embarrassing actually talking about my state because I love it so much. And it's because of the community and the people I meet, the Nevadans I meet, they love this place. They're committed to doing what they need to do to build this incredible economy that we have, to invest in their communities. They don't want a handout. They want someone who is going to make their lives just a little bit easier, because most Nevadans I know are working several jobs. They're involved in their church, or they're coaching a soccer league, or, they're involved in their community. And it's really emotional to me because I want to make sure that we make their lives better. And that's why I'm running and doing this, is because we need someone who really will invest in that community and invest in the people who make this state so wonderful.
Well, that's what life is all about, right? Is making it livable and connecting with each other. So, Alexis Hill, thank you for taking time to have a conversation with me today.
Thank you, Maya. This has been a joy.
Yeah, appreciate it.